first question from KTom24 on Twitter. With the trade deadline a couple of weeks away, what trade would you like to see and what trades are likely to happen? Charean, what do you got?
Well, to me, the Falcons are in a huge rebuild. I'd like to see them trade Julio Jones because I think you get some draft picks that are much needed. That'll be for a new coach and a new GM that you're going to get after the season, and I just think it'd be a nice way to start. You have Calvin Ridley coming up, and he could be your number one receiver. That's one I would like to see. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. I don't. But that is one I would like to see happen. And then when you just look at some of these losing teams, you'd like to see them get some draft capital. And I think the Jets don't have a ton to trade, but I think there are other teams there that certainly do that are not going to be in the playoff picture for much longer.
Here's the problem if you trade Julio Jones, $23 million or thereabouts in cap acceleration this year. And they're already strapped against the cap. So Rich McKay's already said that they don't plan on making any moves with any of the current roster. They want that roster to be there for the next coaching staff and the next GM to make those decisions. But if somebody makes them an offer that they can't refuse, then that's something that they'll have to consider, and somebody's going to have to make that decision. And McKay's a former GM, so I guess he would make that call in consultation with owner Arthur Blank and interim head coach Raheem Morris. For me, it's funny. I've gone back and forth on this now. After week one, I was determined that that the Browns should trade Odell Beckham Jr. And then they win 4 in a row. He had huge contributions against the Dallas Cowboys. It looked like it was changing. Yesterday, visibly frustrated, kind of like old school New York Giants with everything but the kicking net swinging back into his face. I'm starting to think that they're going to be better off long term, and they have the running game. I know they're going to need somebody to come in and be that deep threat, that guy that can be double covered all the time, and who knows, maybe they give Antonio Brown his next second chance. It's worked out with Kareem Hunt, and Brown's going to be available in a couple of weeks, but I just feel like it's something they need to consider because I get the impression that the desire to win is so overwhelming that on those days where it doesn't go the Browns' way, it's going to be an issue. It's going to be a distraction. It's going to be a theme. Charean, any thoughts on whether they should trade OBJ?
Do you think they're any different without him? Because I don't. I think they're the same team without him as they are with him. And they have Austin Hooper, and they have the 2 running backs, and they want to run the ball. So, absolutely, I say you go get what you can get for him.
A-Red Zone Alk is breaking my heart here, although I am now I am apathetic, or at least I'm trying to be when it comes to the Vikings who are 1-5. Is Ryan Tannehill everything that the Vikings hoped Kirk Cousins would be, Charean? What do you think?
Yes, and yes. They both signed the contract extensions, or with Ryan Tannehill, it was a new contract. But, yeah, absolutely. He's exactly what the Vikings thought they were getting in Kirk Cousins. And he's 3rd in passer rating right now. He's has 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's rolling. And I think that's what the Vikings expected to get from Kirk Cousins, and they just haven't. He hasn't been that guy. And, frankly, he hasn't been that guy his whole entire career. And now, to me, they're back up against it because you did sign him to that contract extension, and now you were stuck with him.
Cousins has always been just good enough to not be bad. That's what he's been. And he's parlayed that into astronomical career earnings because if you are just good enough to not be bad, your original team ultimately is not going to keep you, and you're going to become a free agent. And how many guys on the right side of 30 who have played the quarterback position at a fairly high level are ever available? And that's what got him the first contract in Minnesota, and then the win over New Orleans in the playoffs last year got him and Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman and Dalvin Cook their contracts. And I'm convinced, Charean, they're on scholarship year this year. This year doesn't count. Next year, we'll worry about winning games. This year, we don't have fans at the games. Oh, boo-hoo. It's just this attitude of it's not our year, and it's showing week in and week out. And I think the loss to the Seahawks was the final nail in that coffin. Tannehill, on the other hand, has been awesome. He's got mobility. And this year especially, I noticed it a little bit last year, but he just seems different this year. He's got a different demeanor. He looks larger. He looks more confident. He's got a swagger that he's never had before, and it helps. The more success you have in any field, the more confidence you're going to have. That's what we have with him. That's what they have with Derrick Henry. 2 contracts they had to do, and it's worked out so far, and they're 5-0. Real quickly on the way out, at Venice, Virginia. Should the Buccaneers be better known for their offense or their defense, Charean?
I think their defense. They're number one in total defense. They're playing great.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. That defense really woke it up yesterday, and they're the reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Packers 38-10.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.